And this is one of your pieces behind you?
Yeah, exactly. And this is part of a series about headdresses, and I like the idea of adorning or the adornment of women. So if you see a little bit more closely, you are going to see that I do a lot of etching.
Hmm.
And yeah, so, for me, it's an expression of women's adornment
Right.
to have different shapes. Yeah.
Yeah, it's beautiful. And I love how it's layered with the print, like it's in front of it. Because
Thank
I
you.
think sometimes people aren't sure what to do with ceramic art, like where do I put it? It doesn't have to just
Yeah.
be on a shelf or a table, like what you've done with the plinth, and it really interacts with the wall art is beautiful how you did that.
Yes, yes, it's true that 3D art is not always easy for people to figure out where to place. And as you say, you can place it against or on a bookshelf,
Hmm.
but at the same time, three-dimensional art, I think for me is made for special contemplation. So it's always good to be able to go around it.
Hmm.
Because it's taking a volume in a space. I think there is something very special, I think, about three-dimensional artwork. But you can also, yes, put it on a coffee table, on a sideboard, um, by itself, or actually interacting with other objects.
Hmm. Hmm.
We feel with sometimes, we have to put it like I did on a pedestal, but actually sometimes with other object, I think it enhances even more the meaning of the artwork. Exposure to curators, art buyers, and also give me the opportunity to be able to, because our studio is on the first floor, so people would enter, visitors of the museum, and then would ask you questions. So it kind of got
Hmm.
me to practice how to talk about my work, which was great.
Yeah.
But yes, it's pretty much exposure, because when you're an emerging artist, you have to build your resume and you have to show that you have credential, that your art has value or is appreciated. So for me, that first residency was about this. It was about recognition and credibility. The residency I did in Venice was to be among a group of artists that were thinking about a project, which is something I've done a lot in my life in terms of how do you make a project happen, and it's not only the concept that you have to think about, but also financially, how do you make something? It's like you're being an entrepreneur. How do you make this project happen? So that was interesting. But the residency I'm going to do starting actually Sunday night, it's at Anderson Ranch Art Center in Colorado.
Okay. Okay.
Yes. This is going to be, I'm really going to be hands-on. Like it's a ceramic sculpture residency, and I'm going to be mentored by various well-known artists. And for me, it's a 3-year residency. So you have to be accepted. And then after, you come back every year in August. And the idea for me was, because I'm self-taught and I work, pretty much I've always worked by myself, it's to be part of an artist community where during the year you can bounce ideas, and I think that every artist needs this kind of environment and group, where some kind of mastermind group where you talk about your work and you have criticism.
Hmm.
And it's also for me, because again I'm self-taught, it's to get the with teachers, to ask also technical questions. We have also residencies where you step away from your daily life and you have X number of weeks to be free of anything and to create. But me, I'm at the beginning of my career and I have a lot of ideas. So it's not as if I need to reflect on what I'm doing. It's my ideas are right now, are plenty.
Right.
And it's, for me, it's more about creating, be part of a community, and also
Hmm.
have the guidance of very some very established artists who can, help me with building even something better, make me think harder about what I'm building.
This seems like such a great way to sort of push yourself, continue to learn. I think those opportunities of working with others is a really great way to do that.
Yeah, and to have feedback, because, you have to be challenged. You have to be, I feel that I have to have someone or some people who says, have you really pushed that concept far enough, or
Yes.
are you too comfortable here? And I like that, I like to be challenged.
Yes.
That's, I think it's an element of growth.
It's very inspiring how you are committed to your own growth as an artist, and
Much.
you've had a career previously, maybe a couple of careers previously, and you had the courage to pursue, this newer career as an artist. Can you tell me how you did that?
I think I was seeking in the past few years because I like to lead a purposeful life, and I think I felt that I needed to do something else. So it's funny how, when I work with other people, I'm very cautious. I'm more anxious because I want to deliver. I want to, people have expectation and I don't want to disappoint them. So each time I work, when I used to work before with other people, I needed always to be really my best, and I was maybe more cautious. When it's a personal pursuit, and I've pursued many things in my life for my personal sake, and it happened, or it ended up being great, great. So you have to be adventurous. At my age, I think the problem also maybe that happened with middle-aged people is that it's an ageist society.
Yes.
That where you feel that once you've hit 50, your purpose in society is not as great, and in fact actually it's the best age to do some new stuff, to explore other avenues, because very often your kids go to college, or you very often you're maybe more comfortable financially if you're lucky, but and I think it's a great time. You have time, and it's a great time to pursue all the things that you always wanted to do. I was interested in the field of play, which is something that is kind of an odd concept in American society, where it's all about being busy and working and money.
Yeah.
So play is not seen as something that's useful, when actually the science of play show that we need the play to, for our well-being. And unfortunately, as we get older, we stop playing. But so I did, but I was a little bit too much of a pioneer at the time. I did that, 15 years ago. I created a company, around the field of play, and to get also women to tap into to reconnect with their playful self, because I feel that women, and it's a fact, women usually work 7 more hours a week than men, because of at home, the chore, whatever. So I really wanted to help women liberate themselves from the guilt of being an adult or a mother and feeling that you always have to work all the time. So it's also this concept of flow. I discovered actually the idea of flow when I was studying play, and it's that mental state of you're totally engrossed in what you are doing, and it doesn't mean that it's easy. Very often actually it's very challenging, but it's something that you are enjoying and you are completely in it. And I feel that ceramic, I have that sense of flow constantly. This expectation, you have to be good, you have to be, even like when you're at school, you don't dare to raise your hand because your question have to be smart, or there is so much pressure on us to always look good, be smart, when you don't have to. I think the best discoveries about yourself are when you just let all the expectation down and you just, put yourself in a state of play and,
Absolutely. And I think, there's so much more acceptance of it. People want to see more, part of the journey. Not everyone wants to see the end perfect result, because you can't connect to that, because that's not people's own experience. And we want to be able to connect and know that other people are sharing, similar paths that we are.
Like
so
anybody who is good, any athletes, any artist, anybody who gets to be at a certain level, there has been years or whatever amount of practice, of failures, of disappointment. I go through the anxiety sometimes of saying, whatever I've produced has broken or doesn't look good, and it's feel good, but it's part of the process. And I think, as you say, I think it's a great idea to show it so that people are not as intimidated to start something.
Exactly.
And that everybody goes through that is actually very inspiring. Because I've worked in field with women where you have to inspire them to, like, in play different things. I was in publishing or whatever. My work has always been about creating content, so something that's going to inspire people to do things that they would not have done or do not dare to do. Right. And can lead people, especially like women, to pursue an art form or whatever. I'll be so happy. Maybe 3 years ago when I started ceramic, and also my mom passed away, but I really wanted to assert myself in a certain ways. I was changing the attitude about how I wanted to be with people, how I wanted to live my life. And I think clay or sculpture is kind of the medium of, what I want to see, the change I want to see in my life. And I think it's interesting that I chose 3-dimensional, because you take space, you are visible, and you are creating boundaries. So it's a very introspective and internal work that I'm doing, and it feels great. I feel that with my work I'm asserting myself, and I want, actually, in a sense, maybe with women, I'm putting them on a pedestal, because my shapes are voluminous, are round.
Yes.
And it's an expression of femininity, and I want women to take space, to and be visible.
And as we talk about the importance of art to culture, heritage, economy, all of that, but I love this idea that you talked about in terms of the psychology of space, like our own space, our own personal spaces.
Yeah. So in my 30s, I've studied for a few years the art of feng shui, and have been interested in the psychology of space. But for me, it was an amazing thing to discover. I had never thought about how, or although I was always very sensitive to space, I think my mom also was, who had, gave me already that, taught me things without me knowing what it was,
Right.
But what was amazing or revealing to me is when I learned that that whatever you feel inside, you are kind of putting it in your environment, and vice versa. So if you feel down, if you feel alone, very often chances are is that your environment, in your own home, in your own office, or whatever, you are going to surround yourself with symbols or icons or colors or whatever that are going to be reflective of how you feel inside. But the great thing is that if you change your environment, you can actually change your inside. And I'm thinking, you know, when you think about psychotherapy, I feel that psychotherapy is very often a long-term, you know, it takes a while to change how you feel. It's a lot of work. When with, you know, if you change a few things in your environment, actually the changes are kind of rapid. So, and because I've studied, when you study feng shui, you study color, texture, and the element, wood, metal, and each element have different kind of meanings. Or, you know, wood is for growth, metal is for focus, or, you know, all these kind of, earth is for grounding. And it's the study of feng shui impacted so much my life, and it gave me also a sense of control, because I'm like, okay, well, if I can be careful about what I'm putting out there, then I'm going to be more in control of how I feel. So sometimes when I feel in a funk, I kind of look around saying, okay, what's out of whack. But so when I create art, and especially sculpture, and because I know the importance of, you know, the element that we put into, and the object we put into our home, I really want to create an artwork that's going to have a positive impact in people's psyche and minds. And because also I have that strong connection to nature, because I was raised in the Alps, and I know the importance of bringing nature into a home, especially for city dwellers where we are so disconnected to nature, and we know that nature is important for our well-being. I want, again, my shapes and the texture and the colors have very often to do with what have been in my life. So mountains, so yeah, so I want to create an artwork that creates something soothing, and it is has, you know, beneficial impact in people's well-being. And, you know, hopefully my shapes and my color and my pattern are going to help them connect with the outside, or at least, if not within themselves, you know, kind of I lead my life, you know, and if my work can be soothing, if my work can inspire people, for example, to take on a new hobby or anything, and to make something out of it, if it can inspire people to express what they feel, that's wonderful for me. Yeah.